Hi, this is Ali Arango from Game Visuals, and today I would like to show you how to make collectibles that when you collect them, add to your score in Gdevelop 5. So let's get started. Okay, setting this up is not too difficult. I had not seen any videos that had someone taking you through step by step in a narrated form like we're going to do here. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to our right-hand side. We're going to click this plus button here. We're going to look at these different options that we have. We're going to select Sprite. For the object name, we're going to name this Coin. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click this plus to the right. And this allows us to either bring in a sprite. So we could bring in a sprite by clicking this plus button to the left. However, we're going to use this Piskel editor that's built into Gdevelop. So we're just going to left click right on the text, and that opens up this editor here. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to our primary color here. I'm going to change this to a yellowish color. And I'm just going to click off of that. And now what I'm going to do is go to this circle tool. I'm going to left click here. I'm going to go up to the upper left hand corner. I'm just going to pull my mouse to form a circle. I'm then going to go to this paint bucket tool. And then after clicking on, I'm going to click in the center of this circle. I'm going to name this picture that we're making Coin. It's really not too important what the picture is actually named, but we'll name it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Save to Gdevelop. So we'll just left click on that. Okay, and with that done, we're just going to click Apply for now. Okay, this robot sprite, as well as this platform, as well as the setup that you see right here, is from another tutorial that's on this channel. I'll put a link so that you can get to that tutorial, and in that tutorial, I provide a link to the sprites that you can download and use to follow along with this tutorial, or you can use your own assets if you want. Okay, what we want to do now is I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and pull to the side. I'm going to left click on this platform right here. While I am selected on it, this platform, you can tell I'm selected on it because you can see it's got this highlight and these shapes around it. I'm going to hold the control key. I'm going to left click and drag and pull this to the side. When you hold control in Gdevelop on an item that you're selected on and drag to the side, you'll duplicate that item. So I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to pan the screen over. I'm going to left click right here, hold control, and then while holding control, I'm going to left click and drag to make another duplicate of the platform. Now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to pan to the side, back towards our player. Okay, what we want to do is make sure that our character can actually jump up onto the platform. So what we're going to do is click this button here. This lets us launch a preview, which lets us actually play our game. I'm pushing my right arrow, and I'm going to press the jump button, which is the space key. And our character can jump up to that platform. However, we can make it easier for the character to get up there. So what we're going to do is click on this X button. We're then going to double click on our player. We're going to left click on behaviors near the top. We're going to scroll down, and we are looking for the jump speed. So we're going to left click next to this jump speed, and we're going to change this to 800. We're then going to left click on apply, and then we're going to left click on our launcher preview button and try jumping onto that platform again. So I'm going to push the right arrow key and press the space button, and now by changing that jump speed to 800, you can see that our character is jumping higher, and that's what we want. Now, you can see that the camera isn't following our character, so we can't have our character travel over to the platform after this one. So let's set that up now. So I'm going to left click here to get out of here. And what we want to do is have our camera center on our player as our player moves. So I'm going to left click on Game 1 Events. I'm going to make sure that I'm clicked on this comments, and I do that just because I want this event. We're about to click this event here, and we want this event to go all the way over to the left here. This right here you see is from the last tutorial, and our new code will all be right here. So what we're going to do is left click here to make a new event. When you make an event, your event is has a condition as well as an action. The condition basically says when something happens, and then the action says do this. So in this case, we are not going to put a condition here because we want Gdevelop to look for this action consistently and constantly. So when you don't put a condition here, Gdevelop will just keep looking for this action, and that's what we want in this case. So we're going to left click on add action. We're going to look for layers and cameras. We're going to scroll down and see where we see center the camera on an object. We're going to left click here. We want the camera to center on our player, so we're going to left click here. Then we're going to left click here just to get that box to go away. The rest of the what you see here, we can leave that default. Then we're going to left click on OK. And just like that, our camera is set up to follow our player. So we're going to left click here to launch our game. Now when we push to the right, you can see that our character can travel along and the camera follows right along with him. So I'm going to left click on this X to get out of that game preview, and we can move on to the next step. Okay, so what is the next step? The next step is we want to actually pull these coins out. So what we're going to do is we're going to left click and drag onto our stage here. Now we have our first collectible right here. And I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to pan to the side, and just like how we made these platforms, we're going to left click on our coin, hold control. This time we're going to hold shift and pull a coin out. So when you hold shift, that constrains your movement so that this coin is the same height as this coin. So now with that done, I'm going to hold control again. So I'm holding the control key, I'm left clicking and dragging, and I'm moving another coin up here. So now I'm holding the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold control again, which I'm doing now. I'm also holding shift, and then I'm I didn't select it. Okay, so I left click first, now it's selected. Now I can hold control, hold shift, and drag to the side. I'm letting go of control, letting go of shift, holding control, holding shift, dragging to the side again, holding control, holding shift again, because I let go in between. I'm going to hold control, hold shift again. And now that we have these coins here, I'm going to left click here, hold shift. By holding shift, I can select more than one coin. I'm going to roll my mouse wheel to zoom back. And now with all of these coins selected, I'm going to hold control, left click and drag. So now I was able to duplicate all those coins at once. And I'm just going to left click to go off of the coins. Okay, now we need to make it so that our main character, our player, interacts with these coins. How do we do that? We're going to click on Game 1 and Events. We are then going to... Okay, we're clicked on... See how we have this blue line going around this whole event here? That's what we want, because we want to make another event. So we're going to left click here. So we have another event here. And then what we want to do is click Add Condition. Go to Common Conditions for all objects. We want to left click on Collision, and then left click on this other collision that just popped up. And then what we want to do is we're going to select Player as well as the coin. I don't think it matters the order that we have this in, but basically what we're saying is when the player collides with the coin, we want something to happen. So I'm going to left click on OK. So remember, I was saying when something happens is what the condition says. Then the action says basically, what to do when that happens. So what we want to happen is when the player collects with the coin, we want it to look like the player is collecting the coin. So we want the coin to disappear. The easiest way to do that is to have the coin be deleted. So what we're going to do is left click on Add Action. select common actions for all, go to options, and then we're going to go down to delete an object. So we're going to left click on delete an object, and we're going to select coin. Now just left click to get that menu to pop away, to go away. Then we're going to left click on OK. Okay, so we're going to click our launcher preview of the scene button to make sure everything is working correctly. And it is. As our player is walking, all of the coins are being collected or deleted. So I'm going to left click on X to get out of that. Okay, the reason why all of the coins are disappearing, even though we only set this code once, is because those coins are in instance. I just clicked on this game one button. They're all basically the same object duplicated again and again. Okay, so now that we have that, the coins are being collected. Let's make it. I'm going to click back on game one events. Let's add add a sound so that basically when the coin is collected, we can hear it being collected. So to do that, we're going to left click on add an action. We're going to scroll down to audio. We're going to left click on audio, and then we're going to go to play a sound. And I just left click to get that menu to go away. I just left clicked and it's gray down here. And one of the very cool things with Gdevelop, amongst many other cool things, very easy to use, very easy to figure out. And you saw how we were able to make up graphics to actually bring the coin in. We didn't have to go into an external program. We were actually able to make the coin in Gdevelop. So it's nice. If you want to go to an external program, you can, or you can make graphics inside of Gdevelop itself. Gdevelop does the same thing with sound, which is spectacular. So see, this says choose audio file to use. What we're going to do is left click here, and then see this says create, edit a sound with JFXR. So we're going to left click on that text. And now we have this sound editor here that allows us to make up sounds right inside of Gdevelop, which I think is spectacular. Then we even have these things right here, common things that you would expect or need, for sound. So we have this pick up a coin. And when we click that, we get the pick up a coin sound. If we click it again, now we get a different sound. So this is very cool, very easy, very quick to use. Spectacular that this is right here in Gdevelop. So your basic sound effect, you don't have to stress about it. It's right here. This is spectacular. So what we're going to do is we're going to name this coin sound. And then we're going to left click on save, right? And now from making that sound file, we can see it right here. And now what we can do is click OK. And we see this code here now, play the sound coin sound wave, right? And let me go back into this. We actually don't want this to loop. So it says repeat the sound. We want to select no. So then I'll click OK. And then let's click the preview button. And you can see that. Very cool. So our sound is working when we collect our coins. Okay, so on to the next step. And what is the next step? We're going to go to game one, and we are going to go to this plus, the right side of our screen. And what we want to do is go to text. So we're going to left click on text. We have these options for text. We're going to go up to object name. We're going to name this coin text. We're going to change this size to let's change it to 50. This will just make our text bigger. And we'll name this score. And we'll leave the color as white because we have a gray background. We should still be able to see it. So we'll left click on apply. Okay, now what we want to do is left click and drag out this text onto our screen. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to pan the view. I'm then going to drag this text down into view. Okay, so one of the things is let's click the preview button. When we move to the side, you see how we're leaving our text behind. We don't want that, so we're going to left click on that X. And the way we can fix that is we can make a layer, a new layer for this score. The way Gdevelop works is when you start off, everything is on the base layer. So when you look here, I'm selected on the score, and you can see these options right here in our properties panel. See where it says layer? We're on the base layer, right? What we want to do is go to this button near the top right, and this is our layers button right here. We're going to left click on that button, and we can see here's our base layer right here. What we want to do is click this plus button. We're going to make a new layer. We just did that when we hit that plus button. It's just called layer. We're going to change this to capital UI, which stands for user interface. It can be whatever name you want it to be. It doesn't have to be just that. We're going to left click, or we didn't have to. We actually want to click on this X right here. Now what we want to do is click on our score text here. And then now see where it says base layer here? It's telling you this layer is saying this score is on the base layer. We want this to be on the UI layer we just made. So we're going to click right here. It looks like a little gray triangle. And then we're just going to select UI. So now the score is on the UI layer. And when we put the score in the UI layer, this UI layer will make it so our score is always in view. So we'll click our launch preview button. Here's our score there. And now you can see that our score just pretty much stays in place, which is what we want. So we'll just left click on this X to get out of our preview. Okay, now let's set it up so that when we actually collect these coins, our score goes up. So we're going to click on Game Events 1. In this same event, we're going to go to Add Action. We're going to look to where we see all these menus here, right? In Gdevelop, there are, what we're about to do is we're about to use a variable. When using variables, you can use a number variable, a string variable, or a Boolean variable. There's also object variables, scene variables, as well as global variables. If we click common actions for all, we'll see another variables in there option. We don't want that. That'll give us an object variable. We want a scene variable. So we're going to go to this variables right here, left click here, and then select value of a variable. And that gives us a scene variable. We're going to go to this blue button. We're going to click the plus right here. We're going to change this. We're going to make our name for the variable be score, and then we're going to make this variable be equal to 0. So then we're going to left click on apply. We could have put in score right here. We declared a variable right there. There's certain benefits for that. Since we declared that variable there, what we can do now is we can left click and select score, which is our variable. Our variable is equal to 0. What we want to happen is when we get a coin, we want our coin to give us the benefit of adding a score. So we're going to left click here. We're going to select add to, and then we're going to make this be 10. Then we're going to click OK. So basically what's going on is we're saying the condition basically says when something happens, and then it says what to do when that thing happens. So when the player collides with the coin, delete an object of the coin, play the sound, and then add 10 to that variable, which is the score. Okay, we need to be able to see the score actually changing. So this is all one event right here. We're going to need another event, and that other event is going to show us the score actually changing. So we're going to click here. See how that blue outline is around like this whole thing? So now we're going to left click on add a new empty event. And this new empty event is not going to have a condition. It's going to go, so we're going to go to add action. We're scrolling down and we are looking for text object. We want to modify the text, so we're going to left click on modify the text. This is the text we want to modify, so we're going to left click there. And then for this, we want this to, we want an equal sign for right here. So we're going to click equal set to. Now for this, we need a particular line of code. I know in a lot of game engines, they say no code, and that could mean multiple different things to multiple different people. To me, putting in code means typing in letters and numbers, all right? So one of the things I can tell you about Gdevelop is it requires an extremely minimum amount of what I would consider code. I mean, extremely minimum. However, I would consider what we're about to do here a small bit of code. Though I will say, I think that Gdevelop has, if not the most, almost the least amount of code needed to put in to make a game engine work, particularly with how many different things that Gdevelop does and as well as it does them. Anyway, what we're going to do to get this text, and this is something very cool that Gdevelop does, and maybe there is a way to actually not type anything in, but this is very cool. So normally we could actually, if we know exactly the text to put in, we can just type that out right here, or we can go to here. So what we're going to do is click here. We're going to go up to conversion. We're then going to go to number greater than text. And then now what we want to do is we're going to type in variable, and that's a capital V. It's very important that you put a capital V in here, okay? Capital V. So it's variable, parentheses, score, which is the name of our variable, right? And then with that in, with that text entered in, we're going to click done. Okay, so now we have this right here. Now what we want to do is we want to click to the front of this code right here, and we want to put our actual text that we want the score to say. So we're going to hold shift, we're going to put in quotation, we're going to put in score, space, quotation, sorry, not quotation, colon, and then quotation, space, all right, it's very important. Hold shift plus, then another space. So in between these quotations, this score, as well as the space, as well as the colon, it's what's going to show up. And then this code right here is basically allowing us to be able to see the score actually going up. So with that done, we're going to click on OK. Okay, so what we're going to do now is click on the launch a preview of the scene button. And then now when we press our right arrow key, collect our coins, you can see that the score is going up. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. If you like this video, please give this video a like. If you really like it, please share it with your friends. And if you like the videos on this channel, you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for viewing.